crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress deepened yesterday following the purported announcement of the Senate President Ahmed Lawan as the APC consensus candidate of the party. The endorsement was subsequently rejected by the northern APC governors, who insisted on power shift to the southern part of the country. And now we'll be talking about that, previewing the aspirants going head-to-head in today's convention. And we have joining us public affairs analyst Jide Ojo, and also Ambassador Chibuzo Okereke. He is from the Project Hope Alive Africa. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah. All right. Well, the last minute drama that we saw yesterday, the NWC on its own part divided. The governors, on the other hand, also, have a bit of friction, and then the presidency also responding to the claims by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All of this happening at the same time. And today is the primaries. What's going to go down today, in your thought?
I don't know. For me, it's part of the intrigues of politics at this season. They say February is the season of love. June is the season of politics. June to March 2023, we are going to see a lot of intrigues playing out. And what your correspondent said this morning is very, very instructive. Now we are back to issue of, there is going to be an anointed or a consensus candidate. I thought we dealt with that since yesterday, because what the presidency issued was that the president has said, look, let the delegates determine who is going to be the next. But this idea of proposing 5 names out of 21 or thereabouts, I think one is wrong, it's anti-democratic and all of that. But more important for me is the unguarded statement by the national chairman of APC. I really didn't expect Abdullah Adam to be the one to fly that kite, if at all a kite will be flown. At his age, he's an elder statesman. He's a former governor. He's a former senator. And statements like that can throw the country into turmoil should not be emanating from him. Why did I say so? Not that it was credited, it was confirmed that he did say that the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, is the consensus candidate. Meanwhile, you are saying this to your APC NWC members, National Working Committee members, who are 25 in number. It's not like it was debated and you agreed that this is okay. After a thorough debate, this is what we've come up with. You are just like...
He said it was after consultation with the president.
Yes.
But the presidency denied it. At least from what I read before going to sleep yesterday, the presidency said, well, the president said, let the delegates determine.
Could it be a smokescreen?
That's why I'm saying, whether it's smokescreen or not, there is a organ, there is an elected officer of the NWC who should have been allowed to do his job. Even if that is the position of the presidency, there is a Moka, Fidelis, or is it Felix Moka, who is the national publicity secretary of the party.
Okay, so, Chibuzo, do you think that this is perhaps giving credence to allegations against the national chairman of the APC of being, draconian? Earlier, I think about a week or 2 ago, we saw vice chairman of the party accusing him of taking unilateral decisions without consultations, with the, with the NWC members, and most times blackmailing them, and giving all the credit to the president as the one who is calling the shots.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you, absolutely. And what is going on with the national chairman is what you get when you undermine democracy. The process of emergence of the national chairman himself, who was largely quiet, was not even part of those seeking to become the national chairman of the party. And people from nowhere with special interest, drafted him, and he emerged. And I have to say this.
But you said people from nowhere. The president was actually the one that endorsed the national chairman.
I'm coming. That's why I want to say this. The president who promised to provide leadership for this party at this time of transition must rise up to that responsibility and provide leadership. But he may have endorsed the national chairman for whatever reason, but you can see what is going on now. What happened yesterday is actually a terrorism of democracy. And it's not, and taking us back to the 2007 period, where our electoral process was largely in the state of nature. And what you do is to hijack the process and make unilateral pronouncements.
But do you truly believe that the chairman of the party is acting alone at this point?
He may be acting with some people, but what I can tell you is that there is nothing that is impossible with our system. And that is why I agree with my brother. Why will he give in to such, position as a statesman? Anybody else could have announced it, and if it's a strategy, if it's a plan, if it's an agenda, and it backfires, he will have his honor. But he just threw himself out like that. And, just like what Jide said, you cannot list the northern governors. I agree with them that power should go to the south. This is the reality of our country. But again, we cannot have you send 5 names with a lot of evidence of disparity, because you're having 3 from southwest, having one from east and south.
All right,
so I already have challenge with that.
Okay, all right. Before we continue, let's connect with our correspondent there at the Eagle Square, Shafiu Suleiman, who is going to give us an update on the situation on ground. Shafiu, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, just go ahead, give us an update on the situation on ground right now.
It's actually very calm. Everything is set for this rationale. As I'm coming into the strategizing.
Sorry, Shafiu, we would come back to you. All right, that's a technical hitch. I'm sure we'll get back to Shafiu much later in the course of our discussions. But before we went on, the whole drama that is playing out, is it likely that all of this is sorted before the primaries eventually commence, the accreditation and the voting and the rest?
Of course, it is possible. I'm sure the next 48 hours is going to be a marathon meetings. If as
they still have up to 48 hours.
Oh, we're 24 hours. Yes. Thanks for that correction. If by 8 a.m. we already have some people knocking on the door of the president to say, here you have 5 names, choose for us, which will be our leader. That is very, very unfair. That is very, very unfortunate.
But it's narrowing the choices.
It's not narrowing the choice. It's undemocratic, Yuba. It's undemocratic. How could I pay 100 million and I'm not even factored in? See, APC should just take a cue from what PDP did.
They should throw it open.
No. Throw it open, not in the sense of not, let's throw it open in the sense of let all the cleared aspirants go for primaries. When they did in PDP, some scored 0, some scored 1, but they agreed that they lost. And somebody stepped down. We cannot rule out that before the end of today. In fact, as at yesterday, so many people were rumored to have stepped down. But the only confirmed one was Badaru, Jigawa State Governor.
Bagudu. Badaru.
But it's Badaru. It's Badaru that.
And Ken Namani last night.
But we definitely will see if the position of the Northern Governors Forum or Progressive Governors, as chaired by Simon Alon, is upheld by the President, by the NWC, and by the governors. What we just see is that you will now have a horse trading among the Southern aspirants, trying to jostle for their colleagues to step down for them. And I don't have problem with that. If you go into horse trading and you kind of, okay, for me to have a brighter chance, I am ready to settle you out of the race. I've spent 500 million. Okay, I will give you 200 million. You know, I also have to settle this one, this one, this one. And you do that. And at the end of the day, you have people stepping down. But it should not be, this is what the president has said. No. You see, for the better part of last week, this is what was trending. That the president said he should be given opportunity to choose his successor. And if the president now comes up to say, among these 5, my vice president is my preferred choice, it then means that every other thing you do is a fait accompli. Because once that goes out, and this is still the sitting president for the next 11 months, you don't want to offend his sensibility because he holds the yam and the knife. And he can remove you from positions, he can do so up until the hour he gets, you know, a new president goes on.
But the APC Northern governors are pushing the idea of having that consensus narrowed down to the southern part of the country in the interest of fairness. You know, that's what they say, in the interest of peace and fairness and all of that. Isn't it a just, reason?
Okay, yeah, it's just, but let me say this. They are owners of delegates. Delegates are not just anybody. These governors have ensured that certain people emerge as delegates during the delegate election. Many of them were just affirmed by voice votes. The president himself knows the governors control the delegates. At best, the president could only have delegates from his state, Castana, based on our political arrangement. So I agree that maybe submitting names could help in providing direction. It does not mean the person will probably be announced openly as a consensus candidate, because consensus are defined in the Electoral Act, current Electoral Act. It's not something you do by pronouncement. It's something you do by written consent of all other aspirants who will agree that a consensus should be adopted. And based on the report of the screening committee, you already see that they only had 99%, and the Electoral Act say 100%. So it's not enough. So consensus will not likely work except anything changes.
I mean, we're already seeing the governor of Kogi State yesterday in a viral video that when he looked displeased and, you know, he doesn't seem to agree with the arrangements that he's on
absolutely. So I think that the president undermined or underrated the process of this transition. Politics is a very serious thing, and interest dominates everywhere. The president actually said, you people have, you know, had the privilege of nominating those who will succeed you at the state level, and I should be accorded that same privilege to do so.
Okay, Chibuzo, the president said so last week.
Yeah.
And now he's saying he has no candidate. How do you...
That is what I'm telling. Maybe he underrated the power of the political transition period. Everybody knows he's going, and they are fighting for their interests. And I can say this, maybe if the Southwest would have produced a candidate, a consensus candidate, Southeast one and South-South one, and then the governors for the progressive governors can have the opportunity to submit 3. Now, what happens is if these 3, which is what I believe is fair, not 5, not 3 from a particular zone, if these regions are not able to produce one person to represent them for consideration, just like we do in many other processes of appointment, everybody should go to the field. And of course, you know, if 11 governors have already said go to South, it's only a matter of who do they want in the South. And they will carry the day.
Okay,
because already they're using, I think, by 3 delegates per LGA. And we know that the northern part of the country has more local governments than the South.
Okay, let me get this straight. You don't have a problem with the northern governors saying the power should move to the South. The problem you have is the fact that they submitted a list.
A list that has kind of disparity. You know, if that list...
Maybe they did it based on the number of the people from each region.
No, that is not a parameter now to select number of people. What is fair is, for instance, in South, if you have picked former Minister Amechi, what of Babio? What about Jack Rich? What about the other people? If you come to Southeast, you picked Dave Umahi. What of Obonion? What of Rocha Sokorocha? And other people.
Okay.
Emeka Wajiba. Would they accept?
All right,
if you go to Southwest and you just picked 3 and the other people. So that is the challenge with that. But I can tell you, indirect primary will be the best. Okay. Everybody should go to the poll, but we insist. In fact, I have preference for even Southeast, not just South.
Okay.
You know.
All right, we'll come back to that. I understand that we have Shafiu Suleiman standing by again out there at the Eagle Square to give us an update. Shafiu, go ahead and tell us what's the update on the situation there at the Eagle Square. Shafiu, can you hear me? All right, we'll try to connect back again. Now, I want to talk about the options for the other aspirants in this race. The APC has a guideline that says one cannot approach the court. And even at the point of buying the nomination forms, attached to it is a withdrawal, form that you are supposed to, sign and all that. In that situation, what are the options for other aspirants who will be feeling disgruntled as a result of some of these decisions?
Well, again, that is another undemocratic thing that the APC has done by making people to sign a predated, or undated withdrawal form. I think it's really not in tandem with democratic ethos. But because of the desperation for power, instead of all the aspirants coming together and saying, look, we are interested in this race, but you need to remove this section or we are not going to comply. Because the section Chibuzo is referring to, section 84(9) of Electoral 2022. 2 things it said in that section. You have a written withdrawal first, and then endorsement of the consensus person. So if the 2 do not go, it's like you have engine oil, but you don't have fuel in your tank. The car will not go. So you have to formally withdraw in writing. So maybe they have succeeded in doing that. But have they also agreed to endorse? Because that is where they will have problem with somebody like Yaya Bello. Kaduna State Governor, Rusafai, say, majority carries the vote. Yes, majority will carry the vote. But just one person. And if you look at section 84, subsection 13, it says if you fail to follow due process, you will lose nomination. That party will lose nomination. So they need to hurry slowly and see that whatever APC is doing, it should remember what happened in Zamfara and what happened in Rivers in 2019. It's all about primaries. So I feel, without having a split headache over this matter, Let everybody go to the field.
So you
have your meetings.
So you feel this is capable of making APC even losing out in the entire
Of course. Of course, because you cannot beat a child and say he should not cry. People will go to court.
But the party says they shouldn't go to court, though.
Is the party the owner? The party, see, Electoral Act supersedes your own constitution of a party. And in the Electoral Act, it says there is nothing that will forbid anybody to seek redress in federal high court. So, unless they want to waive that right. And you know why some people are in that race? To play the spoilers rule. They know they will not win. But if you don't deal with them and pacify them, it's like a leper. A leper may not be able to milk a cow, but he can spill the milk.
But Mr. Ojo, what I'm thinking is that the APC is gunning for consensus. However, I don't think they are stopping anyone from taking part in the election.
They are, by virtue of saying fostering consensus. I feel you have made a choice. Obviously, having selected or elected delegates that you are going for indirect primary. That is what is being prepared for. That's why you have all the delegates. And I learned yesterday, I don't know how far that's true, on my way I was listening to the radio, and I learned that the delegates have come together to say, look, allow us to participate in the selection of our flag bearer. Because when you go for consensus, you are shortchanging. They know what their colleagues in PDP made. And some of them are in Abuja to make their own. So the moment you hear, is Chibuzo that is our consensus, every other person will not look their way again.
Okay, even if you say there's a consensus, you have chosen Mr. A as your consensus, and then you still allow the voting process to take place. You still allow every other person to go into the race, right?
That during the voting, consensus, that is us trading.
Yes, during the voting, they could outvote whoever it is that you have chosen, right?
Yes, you know, consensus is you are picking only one person, and that person is the person everybody will vote yes or no for. That is the way consensus is. But it's different from us trading and people stepping down. I don't know if you get my drift. Because the strategy and the methodology are different. If you are pushing for an informal consensus, you are saying that, okay, everybody is free.
Because that
but this is our preferred.
That's what the APC has been pushing for, an informal consensus.
No, then they are not going to be using the formula of section 84.9. They are not going to be making, okay, you have withdrawn, whether you like it or not. Yahya Bello, you have withdrawn. What they will do is allow Yahya Bello to say, I'm still in the race. He will issue that statement, and they will give everybody ballot paper, and they will read out what you score. In that place, to defend in the face of the law, INEC doesn't want to hear what you discuss behind the scene. What INEC will see is that this party adopted an indirect mode of primary. Whatever you do, whether you come after your 5 minutes of fame talk, and you say you are withdrawing like Tambuwa did, you cannot call what happened in PDP consensus. But you know that 18 bought form, 3 were screened out, and several others decided to, step down. At least Ayatollah step down before the date of the election. Then Tambuwa stepped down shortly before the ballots were cast. It's allowed. But what I have issue with is you giving this Baba Sokwe politics. I don't know how to. Is the leader has said, Baba has said that this is our candidate, and then it became a fait accompli. Every other thing you do is just an hollow ritual. The delegates are no longer free in their sense that every of those northern governors will now just dictate, this is our preferred candidate. So it will now boil down to humiliating anyone that is contesting against that your preferred choice. Because what they will do is what they did to Bob D and just make you score 0.
Okay, well, let's try to reconnect again with our correspondent out there at Eagle Square, Shafiu Suleiman, to give us an update on the situation on ground. Shafiu, so you can just go ahead and give us an update on the situation there.
Right, workers who have to go to their working place to get to their offices all is maximum security. Even that is the Eagle Square itself, there are things that have been put in place by
we apologize for the loss in audio there. We'll continue with our discussions here. Now, we have some of the stories on the front pages of our newspapers this morning, making projections as to the outcome for today. Daily Trust led with an infographic that shows, you know, about 16 states allocated to the leader of the APC, Bola Aswaju Ahmed Tinubu. And then, of course, the nation as well is projecting the same number of states and all of that. What's your own projection as regards what's about to happen?
Well, yes, the national leader of he has made an inroute into a number of states, but I think that it will not just be the way it has been projected. A lot of things, like they said, even 2 hours. You saw what happened at the PDP primaries. Before that time, nobody knew that somebody would come back to make a second speech. Everybody had concluded giving their pitch, you know, before they continue to talk. Even 1 hour is enough. So you could have 16 states that are projected to vote for you today, and by 6 p.m. today to come down to 2 states, or even 1 state, or 0 states, you know, as the horse trading continue to happen. I don't think he has that kind of momentum, the person that is being projected, because you see a lot of things are changing, you know, with the process. You could see some people from the South making a case that it should be Southeast that should produce president. And since South and Southwest are not supporting Southeast at this time, that is better it goes back to Northeast. Some people like Senator Ojus Okalo and Hope Uzodinma, governor of Imo State, are pushing that, even though they say politics is about interest. But again, it shows that maybe there have been failure of the South to promote justice, equity, and fair play over what they call contribution to the building of the party, or right of first refusal, or kind of, you know, inheritance, so to say, or agreement. So I think he's a frontline aspirant. He has made a lot of political investments. A lot of people, politicians, in quote, believes in him. But again, most Nigerians do not share that view with those politicians.
Most Nigerians are not going to be part of those delegates.
Anyway.
I know, based on what you have said, that there could be permutations. Anything can happen between now and evening.
We have
and
10 states anyways that could swing either ways,
yes,
actually.
Well, however, I mean, as Chibuzo right now, who are the candidates that you think are looking good in these primaries that we're going into?
Well, I think yesterday I saw at the campaign office of businessmen for Shibanjo, people were looking dejected after the terrorist attack on democracy that came from the national chairman of APC that happened yesterday. People were looking dejected because sort of can't believe that until, you know, further details started coming out from the presidency and other people. So I think that the vice president looks very good. The former Minister of Science and Technology, Obonayono Christopher, he looks also, you know, very good. Former Minister of Transportation looks very good. And another aspirant that people are not really...
But that's quite generous of you, because a lot of people, you know, will think this, you know, this primary is majorly between, you know, the kingmaker and his son, the Bola Aswaju Ahmed Tinubu and Yemi Osinbajo, you know, because it looks like that's where the direction is going.
Well, I can tell you, maybe if the president intervenes, but I know that unconfirmed report has it that certain power brokers in the northern part of the country actually believes that the Southwest has gotten more than they bargained in the marriage of APC. And that internal political, feelers has a lot of role to play. People may not come out to openly challenge, that or state that position. But of course, power sharing in a country like Nigeria, with multilingual, multicultural, and diversity is deep.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Okay, there was this particular person who wanted.
I wanted to mention
someone. I would like to hear.
That the governor of Ekiti State. I believe that many people have sympathy. Have sympathy for, but he's not coming out. But he's actually a very strong contender, and I think that we should actually watch out for possibilities of not him emerging, but going very far. But like I said, the president has a lot of work to do because he put himself in that position of saying, allow me provide leadership in this transition. Okay. I read that line and it was very instructive that it was important he spearhead the process of this transition. And I can tell you the president has enjoyed a lot of respect from all organs of the party and the APC. And he must not fail in that responsibility.
Okay, well, let's get Jide's own take on this. The projections, we've seen them, and you've heard Chibuzo. In the Southeast, though, I'm not sure if there's anyone that looks good, in the words of my co-anchor, in this contest. Like I said earlier, it looks like it's a major battle between, the two titans from the Southwest, the Vice President and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Let me put this forward before coming to answer your question, that I'm rooting for Southeast presidency. That is documented. That
supported by me.
I have canvassed that position for more than 1 year now. However, unfortunately, the Igbos themselves are not united behind their own. Why would someone like OUK and even Hope be making that, okay, let it go to Northeast? You see, this is where we have issues amongst ourselves. There's no trust. Oh, if Igbos cannot get it, Yorubas will not get it, so it should go to the north. But I have said this, even here and other platforms, that look, except for the bragging rights, the Buhari presidency, how much has it favored Katsina? The Obasanjo presidency, how much did it favor the Southwest? The Goodluck Jonathan's presidency, how much benefit did the people of South enjoy? Did he even finish the East-West Road in all of the 5 years plus that he spent in power? So I think the dilemma would be this. Because they would not just be thinking about the candidate, but also the running mate. So Bola Ahmed Tinubu looks good on paper, is the man to beat as at this month. But he's a Muslim. And if you listen to his own account, that was why Saraki was against his vice presidency to Buhari in 2014. Because according to Tinubu, he said Buhari asked him, Bola, you have 6 governors. Come and be my vice. And he said, well, he was telling the president, let's build this party to some extent and all of that. But at least he mentioned Saraki's name. That because Saraki was already eyeing the president of the presidency of the Senate, even as at that time, that he kicked against a Muslim ticket. And that was why he, Asiwaju, said, look, okay, if I'm going to be the issue that we would lose this presidency in 2015, I have a Christian son I can present. And that initially he talked about Wale Edun, Yemi Cardoso, and then Yemi Osinbajo. But he felt, look, if I present 3 names, somebody can put the 4th one, and that 4th one may be the person. So he decided to put Yemi Osinbajo as the sole candidate is bringing to the table over religious issue. Now, we are back to that coup-d'etat. Asiwaju gets it, who will be the northern running mate? Would they trust a prominent, or somebody from North Central, maybe Simon Lalong, or somebody from the North Central. But that is one consideration. Two, the president way back in January said he has an anointed candidate, but he will not mention the name because he doesn't want mischief to come the way of that person. The hour has come. Unless that person is not among those who have purchased form, and I know he is, the hour has come for him to now say, look, colleague, and that's number two. So the president is a factor here. The third point is the northern establishment. Who did they trust enough to put their weight behind? Look, Chibuzo, the fact that Southeast is even having only one candidate is to the advantage. Because if the entire Southeast, 5 states, rally behind Umahi and put all their delegates for him, you get. But look at Southwest, 3. So Asiwaju gets Lagos, then Fayemi gets Ekiti, then...
but there's also a Bikola Amusu in this competition.
It's not a factor.
Nobody is mentioning him.
Then Vice President gets Ogun. So you are going to be struggling between Ondo, Osun, and which one? And Oyo. So the permutations are, for me, the northern establishment. Who do they trust in the south? Is it Amechi, who was their former chairman of Governors Forum, just like Kayode Fayemi is currently? Is it an Igbo person? Because whoever these people put, the delegate, Chibuzo was very, very much on point, did not have the numbers. And now that the numbers are just on the basis of local government and not statutory delegates, which will have put the odds in favor of the South. Yeah. Now, Kano has 44 local government. If Ganduje says, okay, I trust this person, and puts and tells the 44, I mean, is it 44? It's not even 44 delegates. 44 times 100 plus, 100 plus. And they all voted for that person. And the same with Jigawa with 30 local government or thereabout. And the same with several others. So they will tilt the... And like he said, which I concede, delegates don't just emerge. They are owned. And that's why many people in this race are going to be trading with their delegates later today.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We have to wrap up. But quickly before we go, let's take a look at the aspirants in this race that are contesting. We have the Godwill Akpabio. We have also Rotimi Amechi, that's the Minister of Transportation. We have the Vice President, Yemi Osibanjo, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Yahya Bello, Ahmed Lawan. You have also Kayode Fayemi, Governor of Ekiti State, Christopher Onu, and also Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, Ibukule Amosu, Tian Jack Ridge, David Umahi, and then also Badaru, from what we understand, has stepped down from the race. So these are some of the aspirants that will be contesting. Whichever one you are supporting, you can always write a comment below this post on our social media platforms and all other YouTube channel and the rest of them.